Welcome to Spirited Straight Talk, the podcast to help you thrive with the help of spirit. I'm Deb Shepard, psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and author. Each week, I bring new insights to help you heal from loss, connect with spirit, and turn setbacks into triumphs. So let's get started. We are going to talk about today how to thrive through Mercury. Well, Mercury is in retrograde. And for people that this may be, what are you talking about, Mercury in retrograde? We are going to explain this, but it is one of our planets in our solar system. It's actually the planet that's closest to the sun. We are number 3. So we're the third rock from the sun. I think there's a show about that. You were actually born during Mercury in retrograde. And when we found that out, you kind of went, that makes so much sense. It was really this awareness. So
because I have to do everything more than once.
When Mercury's in retrograde, to understand how this works and what happens to our planet, and to get the best out of when this is going on so that we are prepared, we're not feeling overwhelmed, we can't manage things like that. For 2023, we will go into retrograde 3 times this year for 3 weeks. And then the first time this year is April 21st through May 14th during my birthday. Woo, woo, woo. So that means I get to celebrate it for 3 weeks, right? Next time is August through September, and then December through January 1st. So definitely want to understand that. To go back a little bit in science, the planet Earth, it takes 365 days for us to circle the sun. And that's why we have different seasons and how we rotate and what happens. Mercury, it is like fast, speedy Gonzalez. It goes around the sun 88 times, which is
in 1 year.
In 1 year.
Okay.
So because of how we align, that causes certain things to happen to Mother Earth, our planet, that affects our energy. It's all about a vibration and about energy. And I think there's an example about, because what happens is it looks like if you're looking at a telescope, the perception is that Mercury during this time looks like it's actually going backwards in our solar system. It is not going backwards because that would really mess, of course, everything up. But the illusion of it.
It's an optical illusion.
Absolutely. And one of the examples was about a car. Like if you're driving and a car is going by you faster, it looks like it's actually moving slower, or the car you're passing slower.
Just for a second. Yeah.
So we know we have that optical illusion, how things happen. And that's that idea perception, like what's happening. And so that's what happens with Mercury. And it occurs, depending on how we're all lined up with the sun, that it affects our planet.
Boy, does it affect our planet.
Whenever it happens, people now go, oh my God, Mercury's in retrograde. What we want to talk about is how to understand what happens and what things you can do to be prepared.
Yeah.
And of course, it happens. It's there. And we start talking about Mercury's in retrograde. I find that prior to it happening, I already start seeing things occurring, little things popping up.
Yeah.
And also I want to talk about that Mercury's in retrograde this time during the Taurus. And I am a Taurus. So it's me on steroids, Dana.
Oh God.
Pull out your bottle of wine.
How much procrastination are we going to run into this time?
Oh, it's because Mercury's in retrograde. One of the things that I think people get in fear is, oh my goodness, I have to be, worried. But what I like to say is, just like if you're traveling during the holidays, if you're traveling during bad weather, if you're a person that drives to and from work and it's rush hour, you are more prepared. You've got to pay attention. You've got to think about things ahead of you. You got to plan. You just can't, consider that everything's going to be okay. And that's about Mercury in retrograde. What I like knowing about it is it gives me an opportunity to rethink things and slow down. Biggest thing that we find in Mercury in retrograde is communication on all levels.
Right.
And it's something that's what our livelihood is. We communicate with people. We talk to people. And in our industry, these last couple of years, especially, it's social media. We're all on emails. Yeah. Everything is, podcasts, all communication, and it's all based on media. And so there may be times where there's frustrations. That's the number one. It may take a couple times to get your email to be received or sent. I think the biggest thing is to pay attention to is how things are interpreted. And it's to be really aware of what you're saying, to take pause to reread your email,
to listen.
Well,
that's one of the biggest things is listen, because when somebody's communicating with you too, you can take things completely wrong, or they feel like you're not hearing them, which is also a communication
what is the
issue.
Line that you say? And I wrote it down.
And this is probably one of my biggest frustrations in life in general.
And then add Mercury to retrograde with it. Yeah.
Is people listen to respond instead of listening to understand. And I say this all the time, is you have to listen to understand first and absorb what somebody's telling you before you respond.
Correct.
And yeah.
And if you have a little Post-it note and you write that down, or you put it in your phone, or you put it in your cubicle, you put it in your car and put, listen, not to respond, listen to understand. It will help you get through Mercury retrograde. And if you actually take those 3 weeks and learn how to do that, it will actually change your life, because we don't take time to listen to other people. Yeah. And I think when people are not heard, they become more frustrated.
And anger comes up. Yeah. And that's how you piss someone off.
That's right. Especially the Taurus. But Mercury in retrograde causes so much more frustration. And I know when people assume that they know your problem, or they try to address it, they're not understanding that there's more, or the person just needs to be heard. And how many times we just want someone to take the time to listen to our story, or listen to what we have to say.
Right.
And we want to compare, we want to fix it, we want to move on, whatever the situation is, instead of taking that time. That's what's going to be huge when it comes to when Mercury's in retrograde. So we want everyone to be prepared and to pay attention that if you're traveling, which we probably will be during this time, is to overly plan. And I know that sometimes people go, oh, I'm just going to trust the universe. I'm just going to let things happen. I'm going to be okay
willy-nilly.
And that's okay. That is totally okay if you have that energy. But if you're a person that feels like you have to be there at a certain time, and you want things to flow, and you feel like there's other people involved, double check, if not triple check, your plans. Yeah. And then have the ability to be flexible. And that is what Mercury in retrograde brings, is the ability to say, are you going to be able to bend? Are you going to be able to be flexible? Can you see the bigger picture? Is there another way to do it? And there is a saying that I'm not always in alignment with, is, well, everything happens for a reason. And that's not one of my go-tos. But sometimes when plans change, is there going to be a better situation, or things going to happen in a way that
there might be a higher purpose?
So if you can be open to that as well. One thing is to read all the details. I know we get really busy. We're a drive-through society, and we want things done, and we have a lot on our plate, and we just want to check it off. If you're signing anything, or you're trying to make an agreement on any level, reread it at least twice. My advice, and I wrote this down, so I thought, I need to pay attention to this, is get another set of eyes to read something. Yeah. Because I know there are times that we get used to reading something, or we're assuming what might be in the agreement. And there may be a couple things in there that are little kinks, and we may want to question it or go a little bit deeper in it. So if you're signing any agreement whatsoever, some people said, oh, don't sign anything during Mercury retrograde. We all have lives. Lives go on. We can't pause 9 weeks out of the year because Mercury's in retrograde. What we want to do is just double check, triple check, and make sure everything is okay before.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing is if you're aware, you can manage it. And just slowing down and re-looking at things, including if you're dealing with stuff from your past, or it really it bubbles that stuff up.
Oh,
it brings it up so that you can look at it and re-look at it. So even, contracts, yes, but re-looking.
Great point to bring up, because this is what I was telling the students in the program, is they're seeing things come up from the past that they thought they dealt with. And during Mercury in retrograde, and I would assume maybe if you're a Taurus, or there's some alignment with Tauruses, that those things can come up for you to review, and we may get frustrated. You may feel like we can't communicate how we feel emotional, or not understand why these emotions are coming up.
Well, I think it's for everyone, because we're all under the sign of Mercury. In Mercury retrograde, we're all under the sign of Taurus right now.
Right.
So that goes, I think, for every astrological. But I think it probably is going to be hardest on Tauruses. Yeah.
And for Taurus, it's our birthday time. So it's like, but I think just, being more, well, I have some other guidance to give everyone, but when we talk about being prepared, it isn't being overly prepared and anxious, but understanding the frustrations come up. What are you going to do? And it's always taking a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting in nature. It is, my go-to is comedy. So having something that is humorous to help us through it. If there are people around you, you're one of my go-tos. It's like, I don't understand this. Can you fix it? And especially when it comes to electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have a student in our program, Gretchen, that drives her crazy since the beginning because she affects electronics all the time. And she's just like, oh, don't tell me Mercury's in retrograde. When these things are happening, it is a time to walk away and pause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Get into nature, go to lunch, go have a coffee break, whatever that looks like that you can do. And then coming back. And for me, it's I hand it over to you. Not everyone can do that because you have more patience when it comes to these kind of electronics, as they do affect anyone that has been doing readings or does psychic work.
Yeah, I have patience with electronics, but I have no patience for people who don't listen.
I hear it on the phone. It's like, would you let me finish what I'm trying to tell you? Because that's the big thing is people just, they think they understand and they may, but if you're not listening to other people or you're not listening, interrupting, then you will feel more of the frustration. Things are going to take longer to resolve.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. So the one thing that I think is important is taking time to be quiet. So when things are on overload, give yourself permission to walk away, step away, listen to some music, do anything, make a phone call, go for a walk, pet your dog, pet your cat, whatever it means to create another shift of your vibration, your energy so that you can go forward. And then that mantra of Mercury's in retrograde, or
I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah. The thing about the Taurus, the sign of Taurus, it's about material things, value, stability. That's so important for a Taurus. That's one of our go-tos is our surroundings are really important. How people perceive us and how we feel in our bodies. So even if you're not a Taurus, these things are going to come up around this time of year of how do you feel about yourself? How are your finances? Are you reevaluating how you're spending? Are you looking deeper in how things should be changed? The self-esteem is a big one. So if you feel like people are not honoring you by listening is one, or seeing your value or putting you down, these things may be more intense during these 3 weeks. So if someone is really being challenging or there's not a lot of respect, if you're not feeling good about yourself, this is, again, maybe old stuff that's coming up that you want to take time to see your worth and value. Look at your finances. How are you spending your money? But at the same time, taking time to spend money on yourself to make you feel good. So if it means getting a massage or a facial or connecting with someone that is very supportive and things like that, nurturing yourself, these are going to be qualities that's going to help you during this time, especially if your self-esteem is feeling a little bit beat up. Tauruses love being in our home. So when there's that balance of taking care of your home and how much you're spending and where those finances are. And if it is, I need to go shopping, which is, a go-to for me, pay attention.
Totally.
Yeah. Pay attention, make sure maybe it's on a budget or how much of that are you spending? What can you do that could provide that same feeling without overdoing that and still having the stability? And that's why being out in nature is so important. And it could even be taking time out of your day to take that hot bath or hot shower or not returning phone calls or checking on all those emails. I mean, that self-esteem and self-love can be just quieting yourself down and reading a good book that gives you a lot of pleasure. So the other thing is because I'm a procrastinator, you kind of during Mercury in retrograde, when you get frustrated, I think there's a real chance of, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
This is too much work. I don't want to do it. I just, that kind of feeling.
Anger.
And just so you guys know, Dana's really good about doing this. She breaks things down for me so I don't feel so overwhelmed when I look at it. And I think that's a trait of Taurus, that if there's too much to look at, we just walk away.
Yeah. Really? How many times, I've learned over the last 8 years. Yeah.
If you're not a Taurus, so if you're a Taurus, we're going to, make sure that's understand that during Mercury in retrograde, that's going to be on steroids. So people around you, if they don't have the patience with you, maybe explain this to them. And also, how do you show up differently?
So say, don't you know Mercury's in retrograde?
And it's Taurus. So to help yourself and help others is to break things down so that you can accomplish them in a simplistic way. One of the things we talked about on a recent Facebook Live was getting rid of things is springtime and how to freshen up your place. And when we go into a room or we think about how to get rid of things, we can get overwhelmed when we don't do it.
Right.
So one of the things I talked about is, having a box or a couple of baskets where when you go into a closet or to a drawer and there's things in there you don't use anymore or don't need anymore, whatever that is to take that one item and put it in that box. So by, in a couple of weeks that you've collected some things. It's the breaking it down so we're not so overwhelmed. And I think most people, they're pretty busy. I mean, people, we extend ourselves. We try to get so much done. Overextend is what I meant. Overextend ourselves. When Mercury's in retrograde, we don't have the sense of patience and the grace that we need to accomplish things. If we're trying to accomplish something and things aren't going well and electronics or people are going through the same thing, we're going to be frustrated with the people that we're working with. So whether it's a coworker, a partner, our children, situations, you may be feeling like you're on a tricycle pedaling backwards. Yeah. And, you're
kind of like Mercury does.
So the awareness is a key to know that this is just a temporary time. It is 3 weeks. Mark it on your calendar. Put little sticky notes to remind yourself.
We have 4 tools that we want to share too, right?
Yeah, I was sharing some of them, but if you have more, go right ahead.
Well, there are 4 specific tools that I made notes on.
Go right ahead, share them.
One of them, you may have mentioned this or not, but one of them is journaling and reflect.
No, I did not put that.
So before you take action on things, to help yourself make note of what's going on and allow that frustration to leave before exploding or before going to anger, is maybe journal and take a moment to reflect on things before you do them.
We just had that come up with a situation with one of our 1.0 students, and she was like, "Oh, this stuff's coming up." And I go, and she journals. I said, "Just journal it out." And she goes, "Oh my goodness, this is so," because you feel like it's just, rolling off of you. You're not carrying all that energy. That's so frustrating. And so many times we want to control or change a situation. We can't, but the journaling gives us an opportunity to almost have that inward discussion.
Yeah. And you talk about this next one in feng shui, the element of fire. And you actually bring this in as a ritual to a lot of classes and stuff that you do, using fire as a way to help you release things. So writing your intention on a piece of paper,
burn that stuff,
either while lighting a candle and focusing on your intention while igniting it, or writing what you need to release and actually setting it to fire so that you're releasing that to the universe. Well, two separate ways of using that.
We even have that wish paper that we've done.
The flying wish paper.
The flying wish paper, where it's really cool. And you write what you want to release and you burn it, and it doesn't catch things on fire, but it will fly. It flies up. Yeah.
And
so it really feels like a ceremonial thing to say, I don't want to hold on to this. This is, I want to release my frustration. I want to surrender to something. And it's a really fun thing.
It is. Yeah.
And it doesn't take long.
And it's in your, that paper is in your conscious intentions kits.
So
but we'll have more of it soon where you can just get it. But of course, meditation, just focusing on having binaural beats is one of them. Because when we talk about doing sound therapy, so we do sound therapy in some of your classes, and the binaural beats helps your brain. When you listen to them, you can Google it. It's on YouTube. You can just pick a form of binaural beats and use sound therapy to help you work through some of your frustration or some of the Mercury in retrograde to help you thrive during this time versus get pulled back.
Yeah. And I think what is interesting, it's all about energy and vibration. And when our minds go into processing and frustration and why can't this happen, and we don't find a solution, that meditation or music or sound actually realigns our vibration. And when we get realigned and we take that time to be quiet, all of a sudden it's like, that great feeling of release.
Yeah. And you know how I love the binaural beats.
Oh, you're great at it. You're now certified and trained to do all this stuff, which is fabulous that we offer this now.
Yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite sound therapy, because it actually works on the neural pathways in your brain.
Isn't that cool?
And that is just, fantastic.
So as people are driving you crazy, just go, I'm listening to my beats right now. I'm realigning to focus because I'm trying to thrive during Mercury retrograde.
Exactly. And you talked about doing Epsom salt bath, doing an Epsom salt bath, but level that up a little bit. Use some aromatherapy and some essential oils. Basil can
not just
help
for cooking.
With this. Huh?
Not just for cooking.
It's not just for cooking, but it sharpens your concentration. It helps you feel more of a sense of peace. I know even when I touch the leaves of basil, when we grow it and you can smell that basil, it's almost like an instant relaxation for you.
Absolutely.
And so get some basil oil. The other type of oil would be eucalyptus.
Which I love.
I love eucalyptus.
I spray it in the shower all the time.
I know, every day.
I'm spraying the eucalyptus.
Yeah.
What I think is important about these ideas and situations is when you have, I always say, your magic bag or your tool bag, when you have some of these items available as go-tos, that you're going, okay, I know that my day is going to be like this. I know I'm going to have this conference call. I know that there's going to be some signing of documents. I know that I'm going to be traveling, things like that. I'm going to be with people that could be very frustrating. What are the go-tos? And it might be even in the morning where you're spraying the eucalyptus in your shower, you're having some essential oils, you're putting on some music that gets you to relax.
Yeah.
Certain times when I'm going to say it quietly because we have one in here, Alexa, to play certain music, you go, oh, what kind of mood is she in? Because there is that sound therapy that can get us into a state of mind that helps us go into our day with more empowerment, which is what we're wanting people to do.
Yeah. If you're going to listen to the binaural beats, make sure you do it in headphones. That'd be my suggestion. Have headphones on so you can listen, and it'll help you refocus, realign. It'll help your chakras. So do that. And then the last thing is a crystal. And there's one that I like in particular, the black onyx.
Which we offer. Do we still offer the black onyx mala?
There's actually some bracelet malas that have that on it. So I think it is, they're on your website. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it has black onyx on it. So just look it up. It's
Give us a call. Email us. But
holding it, having it touch your skin, having that crystal, the power of the crystal can help you.
And if you're in a location that's colder, but my suggestion was even taking your shoes off and putting them on the earth, anything like that. And of course, I have people hug trees, right? That's part of my classes.
Yeah.
Because it's that connection with our planet that can just really take care of us.
Yeah.
But these are all very easy things to get. These are very easy things to do.
I like Mercury Magic Bag.
Yeah, Mercury Magic Bag. There we go. By having that understanding before this gets started and knowing that you have to pull it out 3 times a year. I mean, you can use it more frequently than most holidays because most holidays are once a year, right? You can use 3 times a year for 3 weeks to each of those. Yeah. It will just give you the sense of calming that you can manage and get through it in a very beautiful way, very empowered way. You will actually be able to see how you can shift the perception and perspective of your life, that things can turn around and taking more time. And you can help other people along the way to say, I mean, when you're talking about, putting the headphones on, I'm thinking maybe in some places they want it just blaring for everyone else to hear it too. But really, these beats are about having them within their left and right ear.
Yeah, it plays a different note in each ear.
Each side.
And your brain actually blends the notes together to create a new note. And so it's very specific.
Yes.
And so you really want to have headphones on your ears so that as you listen to it, you're working on your neural pathways in your brain. Yeah.
So being prepared doesn't mean it's going to be scary. Being prepared means it's like going camping or taking a trip or getting ready for something, that you've got, your Mercury magic bag to help you to go into when needed. I just got to have chocolate on side too. So that's just
darn.
Really, yeah, that's not part of what they share, but I think that's important to have.
Yeah,
but chocolate is also a great grounding. Yeah, it's a great grounding, serotonin to help you. Just take time, find that humor, pay attention, and let us know how you get through Mercury in retrograde. I would love to get some emails saying, I used this and it really did help. And we know when we're going through it, when there's a challenge, we actually smile and go, well, Mercury's in retrograde. That humor helps us to manage it and not feel like we should be controlling things more. So I'm so glad we shared this and gave some great ideas. So the Mercury magic bag. We have it available right near you. Thank you so much for joining us.
If we don't, we will soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope it inspired you. If you enjoyed our conversation, make sure you subscribe so that you get notified of new episodes. And let's get connected. Visit debshepard.com for more insights, support, workshops, and a book a session with me. And finally, always remember, your loved ones in spirit are just a thought away. Even though they're on the other side, they're always by your side.